Thursday's steep sell-off from morning highs reflect the bearish undertone in the Indian equity markets. Despite a rate hike on anticipated lines by the US Federal Reserve, investors sold rallies and pushed the benchmark indices to fresh 52-week lows intraday. While the S&P BSE Sensex slumped nearly 1,050 points, the Nifty 50 index dropped 332 points to end at 51,496 and 15,361 respectively. With this, the 50-pack index has broken its crucial near-term support of 15,500 and could be heading towards its next support level of 14,911, which is followed by 13,099.
Support levels now, because 15,700 was a very important support and has broken it very convincingly now. So it is, I think, going to be quite brutal, it looks like to me. Short term, actually, technically, if you really see after this 15,700 support, the next support is almost more than 1,000 points away. So therefore, if there is some sort of sustained selling, I don't think there are very significant supports below 1,000 point fall. So it can't be, unless it bounces back maybe today, tomorrow or something. That is 15,700 is probably not convincingly broken. Then it's a different call. But otherwise, I think one needs to brace for a reasonably big fall.
According to analysts, the Federal Reserve's biggest increase in interest rates since 1994 and signs of weaker consumer spending indicate that inflation is winning the battle. Further, they fear that the world's biggest economy could be hit by a recession as early as 2023. The Fed on Wednesday too cut its economic growth outlook for 2022 to 1.7% from 2.8% projected in March. According to the latest estimates by Bloomberg Economics, a downturn by the start of 2024, barely on the radar just a few months ago, is now close to a 3 in 4 probability. Against this backdrop, analysts feel the US Federal Reserve's policy action on Wednesday fell short on liquidity tightening.
Now the Fed rate is, the targeted rate is around 350 basis point based on the global analyst expectation, ultimate cumulative hike of rate. So now 175 is done. So we have crossed the mid part, and with another 1 or 2 hike, the global markets would have discounted the Fed rate hike. But then other problem is the balance sheet reduction. So we have not, anywhere near the mid part of balance sheet reduction target of US Fed. So I believe there is a possibility of US market correcting. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that, while fairly enough is done on the rate hike, not much is done on the balance sheet reduction. So therefore, this uncertainty and volatility with the downward bias would continue for US market as well, therefore for Indian market.
Apart from these imported headwinds, India is facing domestic concerns such as boiling oil prices, higher inflation, weaker currency, and FPI outflows.
But the point now is that in India, the WPI and all is really out of control. So therefore, the real interest rates are hugely negative in India. So therefore, in India, the interest rate hike has to be probably much faster than what is initially anticipated. So I think, therefore, the correction would be there to a very substantial extent, it looks like to me.
Going forward, analysts at UBS suggest Indian investors trade with caution as it expects the Indian rupee to weaken to 80 against the US dollar, with risk skewed to the upside. That apart, it also sees yield on the 10-year government bond topping the 8% mark before the end of the current fiscal. Further, the brokerage expects DII inflows to moderate in addition to sustained FPI selling. Lastly, UBS expects the RBI to raise repo rates to 6.25% by March 2023. Clearly, a high inflationary environment for an extended period is blowing up market returns as fears of recession loom large over the US economy, coupled with concerns over a slowdown elsewhere in the world.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
तुम इतना डर गए? अब क्या किया?
शेयर्स में ट्रेडिंग।
तुम्हें 5 पैसा नहीं पता?
ओए, अब तो सबको पता है। 5 पैसा पर मिलते हैं रिसर्च टूल्स, पोर्टफोलियो एनालिटिक्स और इन्वेस्टमेंट आइडियाज भी। डाउनलोड 5 पैसा नाउ।
अब तो सबको पता है, investing made easy and rewarding with 5 paisa. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.